than a man lay down his life for his friend. And I think you can find that in John 15:13. What can we give to God? He's given everything to us. We can't give anything to get His love. We just have to receive it by faith. And the Christian, one of my favorite verses, I quote it a lot, and sometimes I misquote it, but it's in Romans 12:1 and 2. Paul writes, I beseech you, therefore, brethren. He's beseeching us by the mercies of God that you present your bodies a living sacrifice. Now, that's what we can give to Him. He gave His all to us. We can give our all. Holy, He says, and acceptable to God, which is, it's a reasonable service. And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so you can prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. So that's what we give Him. We give ourselves to Him, not a dead sacrifice, but a living sacrifice. Let's just look real quick. I only have about 13 minutes, but look at what God did with little. Think of the little boy with the 5 loaves and 2 fishes, and there was 5,000 people there, plus the women and children. So we would probably say 10 or 15,000 people. And we would be like the disciples. I mean, we've been there a long time with Jesus. He's talking. He's speaking to the multitudes. They followed Him all day, and they go and say, well, how are we going to feed these people? Do you ever get that way? How am I going to do this? This is way above my head. I can't do it. I just don't know what to do. But they did one thing. They went to Jesus. We have to go to Jesus. We try to figure it out ourselves, and it never works. It will not work. But if we know that Jesus is the answer to all of our problems, we can remember, like the disciples, go to Him. You may say, well, I don't know what I'm going to do, but Jesus will give us the answer, or He will provide for us one way or the other. We get so anxious and think, what's going to happen? But we just need to let go and let God. And this little boy had those 5 loaves and 2 fishes, and Jesus took it and broke it and fed probably 15,000 people. That is an amazing miracle with hardly nothing. And we don't have that much either. We don't. And yet, look what the Lord used to feed the multitude. And you know how much was left over? 12 baskets full to share. And another story I like is about Gideon. Here's little Gideon. He's very humble, and he's afraid, and the Midianites are terrorizing their land, and they don't have hardly anything, and they're hiding out. And all of a sudden, why would God pick Gideon out of just the whole multitude of Israelites? Because he was afraid. Are you afraid today? Are you thinking that I can't do that? Well, listen, the Lord can come to you just like He did Gideon, and He can let you know that you can be a mighty warrior of God. How in the world can that happen? But Gideon felt that way too, because when the angel told him, he said, "Oh my Lord." We might say that, "Oh my Lord, how am I going to do that?" But he overcame the enemy with 300 strong. He started out with 32,000 weak, then 3,000 strong. I've heard ministers say, my husband was a minister for many years, and he said, I had rather have a small group of people in my church that love God with all their heart than have thousands that just come and sit on a pew. Let me tell you something. God has something for you to do, just like Gideon. And Gideon, of course, he put a fleece before the Lord, but the Lord revealed to him that he could do it, and God would be with him. God may take away a lot of things that we think we need and just put it down to very little, and then we give it to him, and he uses it for great things. Think of David, little David, who slew the giant, and Samson, the jawbone of an ass. Think about that lesson, how he slew so many people. And remember Moses with his rod in his hand. He was in the barren, he was 80 years old, in the barren waste of Sinai, the wasteland. God asked Moses, let me ask you a simple question. What's in your hand? Moses was just a shepherd. That's what he was doing. I guess he thought he was going to retire doing that. And that's all he'd done for 40 years. And what he's ready just, I guess, just to keep doing that. But Moses looked at his hand and he saw a staff, and he tells God as if God didn't know. And the Lord said, throw it on the ground. When Moses did so, it became a snake. God tells him to pick it up by the tail, and it turns back into a staff. Over the next 40 years of Moses' life, God uses that simple wooden stick to deliver the Israelites from Pharaoh, to open the Red Sea, to win a battle with the Amalekites, and to bring water from a rock. Who would have thought it? But God finally gave up. Moses finally gave up and told God he would. I have very little time left, but I was thinking of a song I wish I could sing. Can you sing? Hello? Do you sing?
Yes.
I wish you could sing this song for me, but I cannot sing it all. But it's such a neat song, and it's little as much when God is in it. I love that song because it just encourages me. It says, in the harvest field now ripened, there's a work for all to do. Hark the voice of God. He's calling to the harvest. He's calling you. Life is little as much when God is in it. Labor not for wealth and fame. There's a crown, and you can win it if you go in Jesus' name. In the mad rush of the broad way, in the hurry of the strife, tell of Jesus' love and mercy. Give to him. Give to them the word of life. I'm going to just stop right here and say, let's not get so busy in our own world and what's going on. Pain or happiness or joy, whatever you're going through. Let's remember to tell people about the Lord. And one way we can do it is by our life, showing it by our life. So it says, does the place you're called to labor seem so small and little known? It is great if God is in it, and he'll not forget his own. Are you laid aside for service? Yes, God has called all of us. Body worn from toil and care. I'm interjecting some things here. You just feel like you can't do anymore. Nothing's happening. You prayed and nothing's really going on. It says you can still be in the battle, in the sacred place of prayer. When the conflict here is ended and our race on earth is run, he will say, if we're faithful, welcome home, my child, well done. This little song was written many years ago, and it's so true today. Little is much. It's a beautiful song when God is in it. Now, you see, the truth is, little is much when God is in it. Be faithful, friends, to what you have been called to do. Be faithful. He shall surely bless and reward you with much more in his perfect will and time. Luke 16:10, he that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much, and he that is unjust in the least is unjust also in much. I want God to say to me when my life is over, and none of us, there's not a one of us that knows when our life will end. I mean, we have no surety of that, because James says our life is like a vapor. It's here today and gone tomorrow. So life is short, and the older I get, the more I realize that. But I would like to stand before the Lord one day and say, well done, thy good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a few things, and I'm going to make you ruler over many things. See, few things, but he'll make us ruler over many things. It's not how much money we've got. It's not how many degrees we have. It's not how rich or poor we are at all. It is how much we love the Lord and how faithful we are to do his work. Now, you, my friend on the phone, you've been called. God has called you to do things. And I don't know what you've done or haven't, but I don't want you to give up. I want you to know you called today because God had you to call to be with me on this program. And remember, little is much in the hands of God. It's about time for me to close, but I just love that you've been on. Do you want to say something before close off the program?
No, I thank you for praying with me, and I thank you for letting me know that God still loves me, which I know He does each and every day. And I just thank you. Thank God for being here on this morning, and that I called in to listen.
I'm so glad you did. You're welcome to call in anytime. We just love you. Our ministry loves you. And if there's anything I can do for you, any kind of praying or whatever, my email is jonibuchanan@yahoo.com. It may be on, I'm not sure, it may be on this radio program. I'm not sure I put it up or not. But I just want to remind you again, all of you, don't turn around and go away from God. Just do what He tells you to do. We're going to close with my ending today, and I want you to know I love you, and I'll be back again in a few days on Blog Talk Radio. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Beside Still Waters with Joni Buchanan. Joni's radio ministry is made possible through support from listeners, and she wants to say thank you to everyone who helps her keep it going. You can find out more about Joni and her ministry at jonibuchanan.org or connect with Joni Buchanan on Facebook and Twitter. We hope you will join us again next time for another edition of Beside Still Waters. Thank you, and God bless you.